Hello YouTube, this is Morgan, Airspeed Prime here, my next Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles video. This is going to be my Season 2 overview, my kind of review of Season 2 as a whole video. Obviously I've reviewed all the episodes now, time to look back on the season as a whole. So, I did one of these for Season 1, which you can watch on my channel. Link to that one's in the description if you want to go back and watch it. I actually just watched it before this one, just so I got an idea of like what my complaints were about the first season, what my positives were about the first season, compared to season 2, obviously. And yeah, I was quite critical of season 1. I think rightly so, but it has its positives. I did make sure to clarify that I like this show, but it can be so much better. And I liked it enough to where I bought the DVD set on this box set on DVD, the whole set. So I liked it enough that I actually bought it on DVD. That's a positive. I bought some of the action figures, some of the trading cards, and stuff like this. Like I like this show enough to buy merchandise from it. And I probably at some stage will buy one of those kind of fancy Rebel Tech Turtles figures and review that or something like that at some stage. But yeah, fundamentally, I feel like I'm probably going to repeat myself on like most of the video about on season 1. Like most of the criticisms from season 1 apply to season 2, because I feel they're just very similar seasons. In terms of just the general structure of episodes, the general type of show it is. The only major difference in my mind is that the finale of season 2 is miles better than the finale of season 1, even though they fundamentally address very similar things. While the season 1 finale was like a good episode of the show, the season 2 finale was the best episode of the show by a mile. And I think that says a lot, that the season 2 finale has set a benchmark for this series that it now kind of has to really address in season 3. Like that presented so much stuff that I hope season 3 opens up on a high note and continues on a high note, which I think definitely has the potential to do, just because it is only 20 episodes. So they've lowered the number of episodes, and I think that takes away straight away one of the main problems with this show, in that I think 26 episodes in a season for a show that at a base level doesn't have a like main story arc throughout its episodes is way too many episodes. And you can sort of see that they're almost like grasping for straws at times to fill out the whole season, given the story that they have in place. Hence why you get episodes like that hallucination pizza villain episode and stuff like that. That is just really purely filler. It doesn't add anything to the series, really. It's just an episode for the sake of an episode, which is the definition of filler. But yeah, let's get into some actual specific points about the season. This is probably a minor point I had about season 1. I don't think I mentioned it in the video, but it was really, really a problem for me with season 2. The way the airing schedule, the way Nickelodeon aired this show, I thought was atrocious this season. You look back on the dates, the way these episodes aired, about 6 or 7 of these episodes probably have like a note on the Wikipedia page saying, note, this episode aired online 5 days early, or something like that. And then you look at the dates of the episodes, and again, 6 or 7 times this show took a week or more break off. I'm pretty sure there were 2 or 3 times that this show took more than a month off. And there was even a couple of times they took about 3 months off. And I don't think they really advertised any of these breaks whatsoever. I don't think it was stated at all why any of these breaks took place, minus that the most recent break was because of the Michael Bay movie, Teenage Mutant Turtles, the Michael Bay TMNT movie that came out, which, in my opinion, still is not a very good reason to take a show that has really no relation to the Turtle show on Nickelodeon off the air. But enough about that. The main problem with this was that 26 episodes took about 50 weeks of the year to air. Like, season 3 is starting in like a few weeks, and it's basically going to be a year to the day after the season 2 premiere. So this thing took so long to air that there is basically going to be no off season just because of that. Which on one hand is like a huge positive, but on the other hand, it meant that season 2 had such a prolonged airing schedule. There were so many breaks that the little things that the episodes ask you to remember, the little times that the show actually tries to have a continuity, you forget just because there's so many breaks and stuff like that. So that for me was a problem with the season. That is not even a problem with the show. It's just the way it was aired. And that's important to state. You know, it's not a problem with season 2 as a whole. Like when the DVD set comes out, I get to watch the season like on my own time. Just watch the episodes straight through. It'll probably work a lot better for me. But the way it aired right now, where I would watch the episodes as they aired, review them, and then wait for the next episode to review. It was difficult because I shouldn't have to rewatch the show every like 2 months just because the show wants to take a break and stuff like that. It was frustrating. Now stuff actually that I think is good / bad with the show. The show continues to be very high quality. Like the animation is really good. Like for a CG animated show, it's like right up there with stuff like the end of the Clone Wars, like season 6 and stuff like that. How good that was. It is one of the better CGI shows I've ever seen. It's really well animated, really high quality. The voice acting is good, minus the whole Leonardo voice actor change midway through the season. The new guy that they got in for the end of the season 2 wasn't the best. You could definitely see that the voice was kind of changing a little bit. So hopefully, I think they're bringing Seth Green in to do his voice for season 3 onwards. I hope that's more consistent like Jason Biggs was originally. So that's good. But the rest of the voice acting and stuff like that has been very, very good. And just in general, just I'm gonna probably talk about the Turtles later on in the video, but it's just fun to see all these characters interact on screen. And that's a positive about the series. It's a fun show, one of the better shows in general out on TV right now. In terms of animation, American animation and stuff like that. Only I think Korra is kind of above it, and maybe a couple of other shows, but it's right up there. I think it's really good, and with the season 2 finale, the show has kind of shown that it can rival some of these shows as well. But yeah, the main problem with the show is that it still hasn't made the decision on if it wants to be story / character driven, or if it wants to be just adventures with the Turtles, basically, where just things happen from week to week. Sometimes they're connected, sometimes they're not, and stuff like that. It hasn't made that decision yet, and it badly needs to, because it's just stuck in the middle of kind of half having continuity, character arcs and story, and half having fillery episodes to fill up time and stuff like that. And it's frustrating to watch because the show does something really good like 2 or 3 episodes in a row, it's forgotten about for maybe 2 episodes, they come back, do something else that's interesting, they forget about it, and then you get a couple of references towards the end of the season. It's just awkward in my mind. I'd much rather they just make the decision and have every episode be story focused, character focused, and sure, you can have fun episodes. Avatar had fun episodes as well. It had stuff like Nightmares and Daydreams. It had stuff like Ember Island Players, which were really funny episodes, even if they weren't crazy character focused or stuff like that. The show can do that. It's just you need to be primarily story focused, which hopefully with the way season 2 has ended, it seems to present the series in that situation at the start of season 3. Like they're going to be out in the, I suppose, wilderness, in April's summer home, resting, recovering ahead of, some sort of attack on the city to fix everything and stuff like that. So, unless they literally establish a base out where they are and start doing these random stuff, out in the wilderness and having filler episodes out in the wilderness, I don't know how they can really kind of not do really well in this situation and have character moments with just the Turtles trying to get Leo back to full health. Leo hopefully going into some really tough training so a defeat like that will never happen again, and hopefully having a big character arc or something like that. I hope that happens. But yeah, the show needs to just decide if it wants to be story driven or not, because you look at season 1, you look at season 2, there's no through line story throughout the 26 episodes of each season. Um, there's kind of setup throughout both seasons of like the Krang invasion happening. But again, the Krang come in and out of the show, Shredder comes in and out of the show, April comes in and out of the show so much that there is no main story throughout. It's just the Turtles are in every episode and it'll be a random kind of spin the wheel as to what they're doing this week. Um, the finale, while amazing, did only really have one episode of build towards it, plus some other minor things, a few references here and there throughout the season. Um, and to be fair, this show has set a lot of things up. There are a lot of villains out there that they've set up in place. There's a lot of little mysteries here and there throughout the series with some of the characters and stuff like that. But the problem is, none of them are being resolved right now. Not all of these things are massively important, and it means that overall, throughout both seasons, I can't really say that like anything massive or like shocking has happened, just because so much of it has been villain comes in for one episode, is defeated, he's going to return next season, he has his one episode, is defeated, he's probably going to return next season as well, and again be defeated. Like, which villains am I meant to care about to the point where like this guy's going to be a real threat? What am I not meant to care about? What's set up for some big resolution, or what's set up just for another episode? That's what I want to know. Now, let's get into some of the characters. The Turtles themselves, I think the problem is that we've now had 52 episodes of this show. 52 already. And I don't think any of the Turtles have had anything meaningful happen in terms of their character development. In terms of, these characters in episode 1 to these characters in episode 52. Now, 52, 51 and 52 obviously changed things a little bit in that they kind of had a lot more to happen. But fundamentally, any development of these characters is going to happen in episode 53 if it happens. It's just 52 did something that put them in that position. Kind of like the season 3 finale of Korra. Korra didn't really have any development in season 3, but it presents her in a position to have development in season 4. It's the kind of same position with the season 2 finale here as with all the Turtles in. How are they going to deal with Leo being out of action? How's he going to deal with things just when he kind of wakes up? And, what's going to happen from there? I hope they do the kind of 2003-like thing where Leo just goes into like an intense training, becomes a kind of super serious person, kind of just obsessed with, defeating the Shredder and kind of going a little bit solo, loner and stuff like that. And kind of just gets away from being a team player with the group, and so almost forces like April or something like that to join the 4 Turtles as like the 4th member, and among the 3 remaining Turtles in the group they have to choose a leader, and that would create a cool kind of plot about the leadership rather than the kind of just for the sake of it things that they've had now with Raph just going, I want to be leader, and then Donnie just randomly saying I want to be leader in the last episode. That you actually have something really meaningful happen with the leadership of the group. But yeah, we'll see what happens with them going forward. But overall, in the rest of the season, nothing's really happened with them. As I said, anything with Leonardo this season has been either someone questioning his leadership and ultimately him being right in the end and being a worthy leader, or else he just, he's the one in the group who cares about Karai, and so is most affected by what happens to her, kind of treats her as a sister. That's a cool little emotional thing to have, but they haven't really done anything massive with it. The Karai thing is more a Splinter thing rather than the Turtles thing, really. Raph, again, most of the stuff is about him with his anger, and they've kind of given him this kind of side thing of his pet turtle Spike is now mutated and is kind of off on his own as a kind of, grey character. Sometimes he's good, sometimes he's bad. Donnie as much roughly remained the same, but still there's the kind of tease thing about love triangle with April, and they've kind of developed it a little bit, but again, they still haven't done anything with it. They just need to pull the trigger on this love triangle and make a decision with it. There was a hint in the finale of something happening, like he was about to tell April that he really liked her, but she kind of knew what he was going to say and, kind of stopped him from saying it, and she seems to be getting a lot closer to Casey and stuff like that. So they're doing something, but again, by the looks of it, Donnie's just going to be the odd one out in this love triangle and is not going to be involved in the relationship, so what is he going to do? Mikey, again, the main thing they've done with him is that he's the kind of silly, kind of idiot one in the group, and any episode that's involved him heavily has just been about him having a little bit more of a serious story compared to what you usually expect of him. And then by the end of the episode, he's back to his normal self. There's no massive change in his character or big development for him, and that's the problem. They just keep. They're almost afraid to move these characters in any way away from that base. This is the main character of this turtle, as has been set in stone since the first Turtles comic or TV show or whatever. Leonardo is the leader. Donnie is the intelligent one. Raph is the angry one. Mikey is the laid-back one. They don't want to move away from that at all, so they don't develop the characters full stop. They're just heroes in the show. And while they're really cool characters, to see interact on screen and stuff like that, I want to be emotionally invested in these characters, and that's going to involve them going through changes, which hopefully season 3 presents. Now, April continues to be the most interesting character to me in the show, just because they keep the mystery around her interesting. I still have problems with the way they portray her, in that she's in and out of the show again, and not really treated as much as a main character as I think she should be. But hopefully, again, she's with the main group now, and hopefully she's considered just as big a part of the show as the Turtles. Because, as I said, most interesting character in my mind. Just all the stuff they presented about her, like she's now a half mutant, she can't be mutated, she's the secret to perfect the Krang perfecting their mutagen. There's just mysteries surrounding her birth and stuff like that. She got these psychic powers potentially that initially were thought were just related to sensing, like life and stuff like that, but now seem to be actual psychic powers. Not to mention she's developing as a kind of ninja as well. And it seems to be just getting better and better. So she actually is kind of having a character development arc. I just wish she was in the show a bit more to kind of have that arc. I want them to kind of address the stuff a little bit more, because again, the problem with her is just that they've had these little reveals happen from time to time in episodes, but the way the season's been so delayed in airing, combined with the show taking a break from its serious plots to have these kind of silly episodes, has meant that it's kind of been fairly easy to forget a lot of these little details we know about April's character, even though they have actually revealed some stuff. But yeah, hopefully she just gets some big moments. Casey, positive addition to the main cast. Really appreciated it when they introduced him. He's a pretty cool character overall. Again, they haven't done much with him. They presented who he is as a main character, and done the friendship thing with Raphael as expected, and set up the teen romance with him and April, and the love triangle. But we haven't really seen him develop that much. But again, the mention of his family for the first time in the finale holds some potential for him. So I'm reasonably interested to see where they go with him and stuff like that. Just don't mutate him. Next, I suppose Splinter actually had some of the better moments in this season as well. Again, I find his issue with the kind of battle between Splinter and Shredder, I find to be one of the most intense things in the show, and I wish they'd address it a little bit more. I think they had 2 fights this season. One was kind of mid-season, or was it towards the end of last season? Again, the show just blends together for me because season 2 took so long to air. Either way, the few moments where those two have confrontations are just the best moments of this show in my mind, in terms of fighting having intensity to it. The only times I've really felt the turtles have been in intense fights has been the season 2 finale. Other than that, it's been the Splinter fights, Splinter Shredder fights, and they were really cool and getting more personal. You know, you got the reveal. Yeah, there was a Splinter Shredder fight earlier on in the season, obviously when the Karai reveal came out and stuff like that. So that's really cool. Like he's actually getting a good emotional character arc, in that he's obviously mutated into a rat, and he has to reveal to Karai that he's her father, and she eventually realizes that, and she comes to the base and kind of has this moment with her father, and then obviously even Shredder even cares for Karai and stuff like that, and you know, even though Shredder himself is definitely just the kind of villainous guy, they're giving him a little kind of character moments with the idea that he actually does really consider Karai his daughter. It's just he's got a very tough way of treating people. Then Karai herself, again, just the idea that she was involved in all of this and kind of had this emotional arc was interesting. And then going forward, the idea that she's this kind of snake, kind of shapeshifter thing is fascinating because we don't know what her mental situation is like. Can she speak? And overall, just what the deal is with Karai, and we just don't know. So she's very interesting again. None of the other characters are like massively, I think, like important. Like there was a lot of different villains introduced this book. None of them I think are like massively important to the series overall. But you know, like stuff like Tiger Claw. Like I think the mysterious thing about him is that we don't know the backstory about how he lost his tail or something like that. So that could be cool if that actually comes out in the end. And there's just, you know, characters like Spike in and around the place. But yeah, I think the main thing that these first 52 episodes of this show have presented is that the show has so much potential in what it has kind of set up. It just has to now execute well on the setup that's happened so far. Because I'm going to struggle a little bit if next season is very similar to the first 2 seasons, and that there's kind of a hint at serious stuff, then kind of silly fillery episode, then back and forth. I just kind of want the first few episodes of this to be very character focused. I don't want to see a lot of fighting apart from maybe some training from the turtles, and maybe Splinter and Leatherhead having some rebellion going on. I want it to be very character focused at the start of season 3. I think it's very important that they do that and not just resort to every episode having to have huge fights in it. But yeah, overall, you know, season 2. A slight improvement on season 1. Season 2 is a slight improvement on season 1. The finale definitely was the key part in making it overall better. But stuff like one of the final points I need to mention, mutagen. I think mutagen continues to be mishandled a little bit in this show, in that they're way overusing it. Like I actually, as I said, I watched my season 1 overview before I record this one. And I specifically, about halfway through that one, get into this point about, you know, how I think they were overusing mutagen, and then make the point, like predicting the future, that it wouldn't surprise me if they just start throwing mutagen all over the place, mutating every character introduced into the show. And what does season 2 open with? Mutagen canisters raining from the sky, going everywhere, and then the first couple of episodes completely revolving around mutating everyone and main characters getting mutated and stuff like that. It continues to be a problem just because most of the time there's no consequences whatsoever for a mutation happening. Because they rarely address the emotional impact it has on the person. Like when April's father was mutated, it wasn't about him, it was just April's upset that her father's been mutated, rather than him dealing with the loss of humanity and stuff like that. With Karai, there's potential just because she's a main character and was mutated, and it's mysterious, we don't know what's up with her. Timothy, the pulverizer guy, again, because he can't speak, it completely takes away some of the stuff that he can have happen to him, and so they just kind of given that emotion to Donnie kind of out of nowhere, where he suddenly feels responsible for this or something. And stuff like that. So even like Bradford got mutated again into whatever he calls himself now, Razar, and that was just like, okay, second mutation, cool. Like, does he not care that he's been further mutated and is kind of just a mutant now? It's just a bit weird. I wish they just addressed the loss of humanity. Like, I really want that to be addressed at some point with some character, that they can still speak while they were mutant, but are struggling with the fact that they've been mutated. Um, like Splinter to some extent has just like accepted who he is and hasn't really like complained about who he is. But I'd almost like something like that where like someone gets mutated and is struggling to accept that they're a mutant. Like they could maybe go down that road with April, like the idea that she is a half mutant, and they could maybe add that to the love triangle where she likes Donatello and Casey, but because she considers herself more a mutant, more a human than a mutant, she's almost just decided to go with Casey because of that. When in reality, she maybe likes Donatello more, but thinks she shouldn't go with him because he's like a full-on mutant and she's only a half mutant. Like that would be a really cool concept to explore, but I don't know if they're going to do it. But yeah, overall, this show continues to be really good. I like it enough. As I said, I bought the DVD set for season 1. I'm going to buy this DVD set for season 2. In part just because I thought the finale was awesome and I'd like to watch that again on DVD. And other part, there's going to be some extras, so that'll be cool. But it is a good show. It's definitely one of the better ones out there, as I said. Only really like Korra and maybe a few other shows are above it on TV right now. It's super high quality and I enjoy it. I'm going to review season 3 when it starts airing in a few weeks, and I'm looking forward to season 3 because finally I think this show has done something where it's left itself in a situation where it just plain has to be better than it was before, just because of the amount of things that the finale did. So the series is in a situation now where it has impressed me. Like finally, really impressed me to the point where I'd call one of the episodes like absolutely amazing, excellent. Don't let me down, show, going into season 3. Please don't. Um, but it still shows Nickelodeon have 2 of the best shows on TV right now, Korra and Turtles. But yeah, that's been a review. I don't want to go on too much longer. Definitely in the comments let me know what your overall thoughts were on season 2. Thanks for watching, and bye.